Hey, girlfriend. Hey. How's everything going between you and Carl? Oh, you know how men can be. Oh, trust me, I know. Well, Carl is one heck of a man. I tell you what. He's big and great father to our babies, our two big eggs in the corner. Taking good care of them eggs. Giving me a chance to come over here and eat. So you got you a Mr. Right instead of a Mr. Right now. I think so.
Hey, good morning, folks. Lester here. Guys, today I'm not trying to incite any kind of fear out of you all. I'm also not trying to challenge your faith or your spiritual beliefs. All I'm trying to do in today's video, as I kind of think out loud, is let you know what Jamie and I have been thinking about and talking about, and you might say preparing for, not my ear, something that we're afraid might be an inevitable occurrence, event. So enjoy the video, but cartilage does not heal as fast as just skin. I have learned that the hard way. It's been 2 weeks since my ear attack, and I'm still not well yet. Anyway, so you can see that y'all just enjoy the video. If you listen, you can hear the bells. I know you can't see anything, but the goats are on the berm and they're having a heck of a time. We're gonna walk over there. Oh no, they've heard me. Here they come. Watch out, little duck. This is too funny. Hey, babies. Hey, sweetie. Oh, they're fat and frisky. Look how fat they all are. We are so blessed. We are so blessed they're all so fat and healthy, full of life. Come on, you two. Come on, Newton. Let her pass. Or let him pass. That's Chip. Chip had to come around. Look how fat. And Pig Newton. What are you guys doing over there? I saw you all playing. I saw you all on those hills. It's a chilly morning, so it's been fairly warm. Now the mornings at this time of year always start off pretty cool. I would say we're somewhere in the maybe the high 40s, mid 50s, depends on the day, but it gets up to 75, 80 degrees. It's just beautiful weather, y'all. The kind of weather you would like to have year round. Seriously, the only thing you could not do in this kind of weather is swim. Water activities. Hi, good morning. I'm so happy to see you. Hello, Chippy. Hey, Sissy. And, I would sacrifice water sports. At my age, seriously, I would sacrifice water sports in a minute to have this kind of weather year round. I know. A lot of folks realize that in this kind of weather year round, certain crops wouldn't grow, and certain things, it would climate change. Boy, isn't that a scary topic, though? There's nothing more scary to me, though, I guess, than what I heard. Oh, Laverne, stop being so mean. Nothing is more scary, though, than what I heard on the news this week when Biden came on and he really struggled through talking about our cybersecurity.
Look, today my administration is issuing new warnings that based on evolving intelligence, Russia may be planning a cyber attack against us. As I said, the magnitude of Russia's cyber capacity is fairly consequential, and it's coming. The federal government is doing its part to get ready, but under U.S. law, as you all remember, the private sector, all of you, largely decides the protections that you will or will not take.
And advising everybody to make sure that, on a personal level and on a business level, make sure that all of your security is updated, your passwords are changed, because pretty much what he was saying was an imminent attack by the Russians it's imminent. It's going to happen. And what's scary about that is, you know, if you lose your satellites, if you lose internet, that pretty much means that you lose your banking. It means your ability to use your debit or your credit cards. It means you can't use your cell phones. And that, isn't it weird, the way that we've come to a place in our lives where we don't know how we can make it without the internet, without our cell phones? But think about it. You know, I don't live right next door to my sons, so how would I communicate with Lex? How would I let his mom know when we're going to meet, you know, or anything else? What about food? No, I don't think that everyone is having a lot of fun today. Every little herd of babies. Oh my gosh, that's cute. They all have a picnic table to jump on. Yeah, we don't have that over here. We got to get y'all some stuff to jump on, don't we? Well, they have a hill. You know what? They have a berm. Forget that. Now, I don't like to think about politics, and you can't help but ignore things going on in the world, especially when you have these nuclear powers playing these war games with each other. Oh my goodness. Hey, how you guys doing? Feels good out here, huh? Y'all enjoying this weather? Listen, I didn't bring anything for snacks. These are Sister Kim's goats and her little ram. Sam, his name is Sam. I didn't bring anything for snacks, y'all. So I just came out to visit and talk. I just got off my bus run. So yes, I am wearing my reflective vest. Let's go see what's going on with Mr. Huck. Now, as you can see, some goats and pigs have not made it out this morning. They're taking their sweet time and getting up, out and about. It's about 8:30. The sun is out, but it isn't. I can't help but those bells draw your attention. Uh-oh. Well, that's fun. Good morning to you too, Annie. I heard Jake say in a video recently that we don't have to feed twice a day anymore. And guys, it's true. Everything is nice and green, and there is so much they can be eating on. They don't need feed. So the baby's running up to me this morning. They're not running to me to grab feed. They're running to say hi. This is their little social event. They're playing, they're having fun, they're out and about doing their thing. And that's cute. So Jamie and I were talking about what if scenarios. Like what if there is some kind of a cyber attack? I don't know how those things work, but what if we lost access to Facebook? What if we lost access to the internet? What if you lose access to, you know, the use of your phones? And ultimately, I just, this sounds scary, but I sent Ellie a message. I sent Lex a message. And we have played these, I'm going to put my fingers up, air quotes. We have played these what if scenarios out a couple of times. I kind of feel like, y'all want to hear this? This is going to sound scary to y'all. But I feel like I would have to take all of these babies here, every one of them, if it got to a point to where I thought there was a crisis and people were unable to, well, you know, let's just say if there was a chaotic crisis where people were unable to buy food, or there was a run on food, or there was some kind of an international shutdown of whatever, to where it made it to where people were like literally scared and possibilities of, I don't mean a lack of toilet paper, y'all. I mean, if it got real bad, I would take all of these babies and I would take them right down to that fence, and we'd go to the far, far backwoods. We would go right down alongside the river, and I would take down some of these panels, and I would build kind of a makeshift fence to keep all these babies contained inside there. They would have the river for water access, and isn't that scary though, to picture trying, in a world where you have to literally protect your babies from hungry people? And then I think to myself, what would we do? Well, we have kind of taken precautions to, we have storage. We have made our own little cache of food to last a couple of weeks if we have to. Staples, just, rice and beans and condiments and propane, ways to cook on our propane, stoves and stoves, our propane cookers, pots, and you know what I'm saying. But it's just scary. You think about your electrical grid and gasoline shortages, and I just don't like having to have these kind of scenarios play out in my head because it scares me. And I'm a grown man, and I shouldn't live in fear. I know that. I know what you're all... Listen, this is what my mom and dad will say. And so we can agree to disagree on this one. Oh, I'm going to be in a lot of trouble here. Okay? I'm going to tell you right now, my mom would say, "Oh, Lester, you don't got to worry about stuff like that. God will take us home before he ever lets us suffer." No, my mom would say that. And you know who else would say that? My mom's mom and dad would say that. My grandparents would have said the exact same thing. They would say, "Oh, Lester, you can't live in fear. God would take us home before he ever allowed good people like us, good Christian people, to suffer." And so don't even dare bring up the millions of good people who have suffered over, in the last 100 years. The good people of 9/11, the good people of the Ukraine, the good people of World War II, the good people the good people who have died in the wars, and the civilians and the soldiers. And so I don't really know if I'm going to go with that one. But I think that what that is nothing. It's not a knock on anything, religion or Christianity. I think it's kind of a knock on people being I don't know how to say this right. I think that's kind of a way for people to block out. I'm just going to say block out. I think it's a way for people to block out the realities that their minds can't comprehend. Their minds cannot process. I'm going to tell you another example. This happened just before the flooding of Hurricane Harvey. Now listen to me. All of this was you already know this. It was all flooded with 6 foot of water across here. I had seen the news, and I think Stephanie, my sister-in-law, Buddy's wife, had texted. She did a family messenger, and in there she put a graph that she saw come across the news, and it showed it showed the projected flood stage, how high the river was going to get. And that projection showed that it was going to be higher than a flood we had back in 1994. Now, of course, in 1994, none of my stuff was here then. I wasn't living here then. I was up in college, graduating from college. But I do remember that all of this hill got underwater except for this little spot right over here where that trailer's parked. That spot right there was the only spot not underwater. And the reason I know that, even Mom and Dad's house took water a couple of inches. The reason I know that is because I had to wade across there and cut the wire so all the cows and horses at that time could go to the high ground. And that's where they all went. They all came to that little spot right there, and that's where they rode out that flood. So when I saw that broadcast that Stephanie had put out that said the water's going to exceed that by I forgot how many feet. Well, I knew at that point that Mom and Dad's house was going to flood. I knew all of this was going to flood. I knew my place was going to flood. Uncle Raleigh's was going to flood. And so I remember this is plenty of. I actually called my mom. I called her. Guys, don't think that I'm knocking my mom, because I'm not. I called, and we didn't have any electricity. Lights had been out for a while. So I called Mom, and I says, Mom, y'all have to start moving all of your stuff upstairs. The flood's coming. We don't have a whole lot of time. It's going to flood your home. And I could hear in the background, I heard laughing and playing. They were all playing cards. They were all playing canasta. And they were all sitting there having a great time. And Mom goes, Lester, stop being silly. We've put hands on our house. We're fine. And those words echo in my mind right now. We have put hands on our house. We're fine. We've laid hands on our house. We're fine. And then she said, we'll come down and lay hands on yours if you want us to. I got off the phone with Mom, and I began to take things in my house and move them up as high as I could on the countertops. And I remember I went down and helped Joanne and Uncle Raleigh, and we moved all of their stuff as high as we could in their house. We took all of our tractors and our four-wheelers and lawnmowers and parked them over here at the church where we thought might be higher ground. And we worked. Uncle Raleigh was still able to help and work at that point. He hadn't had his stroke yet. We worked, and I remember this, y'all. I remember this as plain as day. It's like it just happened yesterday. That half of this hill was hustling and bustling and trying to prep for that oncoming storm and that flood. And the other half was sitting around playing cards, laughing, and just having a great time. Since the lights were out, they were cooking, barbecuing, trying to get rid of some of the stuff that didn't ruin because of no electricity, so, and you want to hear something? I don't know if it was the next day or the following day when water come across this hill at 6 foot. 6 foot of water crossed this hill. And you know the aftermath. You know the rest of that story. You know all of the lost animals. And the problem is, it's because people begin to, try to, this is where it gets real touchy, folks. This is where it gets very touchy. People begin to put too much into, you know what, I'll just let you put your own words into my mouth, because you know what I'm thinking. You know how foolish I think that was, when so much could have been done because science had told us what was going to happen. Science has told us what was going to happen, and we were just too foolish to put ourselves into a scenario. And so instead we just played it off on blind faith. Oh, we laid hands on our house. We'll come lay hands on yours if you want us to. Guys, guess what? Those laid hands on those houses did nothing when 6 foot of raging river come across this pasture. That house was lost. That's a new house. My brother's house was lost. That's a new house. Jake's house wasn't here then. My home was lost. There was a house here that was lost. This house flooded. That house flooded. Still hasn't been worked on since. The church flooded. The house, every home you see, my Uncle Raleigh, Aunt Joanne's house, flooded. So the houses that had hands put on them and the houses that did not have hands put on them, guess what? They all suffered the same fate. So all I'm saying is, whenever you come to moments like this where the President of the United States, who would not want to incite, he does not want to incite fear. He doesn't want to scare us and make us all live in fear, run to the banks, draw all our money out, and make ourselves go through a crisis. But when he comes onto the TV and he tells you that cyber attacks are imminent, in other words, then we better all have a plan in place. And I hope that your plan is one that helps you, makes you able to sustain yourselves until things can all work themselves out. Because ultimately, a cyber attack, I don't even know what all that entails, but could be a whole lot more devastating in the long run than a Hurricane Harvey. Think about that for a minute. The way the world is dependent on energy and communications and, banking. Look how green this grass is. So, you know what? I'm sorry. Here I am trying to show you and bring you a very peaceful and loving video. Yet, what I'm talking about, I hope that you've put me on mute a long time ago. What I'm talking about is actually a very scary what-if scenario. But I will just say this. If something were to happen and we were to lose temporary communications with you, if you were unable to see any I'm a Survivor videos because internet being down, I want to give you my word that this will not be another Hurricane Harvey where we did not take enough preparations. I have a plan. Jamie and I have a plan where we're going to do everything that we can to protect and defend all of those that you and I love so much. And if that means taking them all to the river, building us a fortress, a one way in, one way out type thing, to protect them from the hordes of folks that are going to come from across the road looking for things to eat. So what I would do if I were somebody who was hearing this message, don't panic. I wouldn't panic if I were you. I really wouldn't panic, and you don't want to live in fear. But what you might want to do is when you have a chance, if you have a chance, get a little cash out of the bank, have it on standby, buy you some stapled food, some things that are not going to spoil, some things that you can heat up very easily if you have to, things you can eat dry, things that can, granola bars, I don't know, ramen noodle. Water. You need to have water, y'all. Water. Buddy. And you communicate now with those that you love and those that you care about, and you create a plan. You create a plan. Because you don't know if that day happens. No one's going to tell you ahead of time. No one's going to tell you ahead of time, hey guys, you have about 30 minutes to communicate with your loved ones, and then you're going to lose communications for 6 weeks. It's just going to happen. It's just going to happen. And I believe that the president coming out and saying that was his way of saying, make a plan for it, guys. Make yourselves a plan without trying to incite and get us all into a terror, because no one wants that. I think that what he was saying was make yourself a plan. Have a plan. All right, I got chores to do. Sorry to ramble on so much. Oh, sorry, Poppies. Oh, hey, buddy. You have a plan? You're coming with Daddy. You're coming with Daddy. All right? You can get in my tent. We'll snuggle up in my tent.